Well, good evening. Thanks for joining Your News Arizona. I'm Jonathan Alexander reporting. So tonight I'm doing a special broadcast. Looks like we could very well be in a full-scale war with Iran here in the next 24 hours. Got some information that came in on this, and the Iranian government has been taunting President Trump left and right. They keep holding up a picture when Donald Trump got shot, and they have said multiple times, next time we won't miss. So, and it looks like this is going to go ahead and trigger another war. And as far as I'm concerned, we can just wipe out those commie bastards. That's just my thoughts on the matter. But I think we need to just take care of business and eliminate the Iranian regime. Um, so we got Tim Waltz in the news tonight as well. He is instigating protesters to just taunt our border patrol agents, to sit there and follow them around, pretty much dox them is what he's instigating. And that's Tim Waltz, the governor out there in Minnesota. A real fine piece of shit he is. So let's call him what he is. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that broadcast, and then I'll share with you guys what Omar is up to as well. So first, here's Tim Waltz.
Just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans. Kidnapping innocent people with just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans. Kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened. And yet, instead of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death, the Trump administration is devoting the full power of the federal government to finding an excuse to attack the victim and her family. Just yesterday, 6 federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs rather than go along with this assault on the United States Constitution. But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of this state, who dared to vote against him 3 times, and who continue to stand up for freedom with courage and empathy and profound grace. All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are being unjustly and unlawfully targeted. They're distributing care packages and walking kids to school and raising their voices in peaceful protest, even though doing so has made many of our fellow Minnesotans targets for violent retribution. Folks, I know it's scary.
So you know what this piece of shit calls a peaceful protest? You know, if you call it peaceful where they're sitting there driving vehicles in the Border Patrol agents, sitting there doxing them, sitting there shooting fireworks up at their motel rooms, everything in the book. If this is what they call peaceful protest, then you know what? I think we ought to be, our federal government ought to be doing an eye for an eye.
And I know it's absurd that we all have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity while also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough. Let me say 4 critical things to the people of Minnesota. 4 things I want you to hear as you watch the news and look out for your neighbors. First, Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry? I'm angry. Angry is not a strong enough word. but we must remain peaceful. Second, you are not powerless, you are not helpless, and you are certainly not alone. All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger. Thousands upon thousands of our fellow Minnesotans are going to be relying on mutual aid in the days and weeks to come, and they need our support. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity.
So let's make it real clear, folks, that what this piece of shit is doing, he is inciting people to get in the way of federal investigations, to get in the way of our ICE um, out doing their work. He he is putting our agents' lives in harm's way with his actions right here. This man needs to be held accountable for his actions. He needs to be charged for crimes. And this is what he's doing. I don't care what anybody wants to say. He's inciting violence. He is inciting people to go out and dox our ICE agents, to get their pictures, find out where they live, document every last bit of it, so that him and their little rioters can run around and make these ICE agents' lives complete hell. This guy is a treasonous piece of shit. He needs to be tried for his crimes out there in Minnesota. He's part of the freaking fraud where they have gotten billions of dollars out of taxpayers to the Somalians for these so-called child care centers. I mean, you name it. You know what? It's time this man gets locked up, and they need to throw away the fucking key. As far as I'm concerned, they ought to deport his ass out of this country permanently. Or if nothing else, put him over on Alcatraz.
For posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution. The third thing I want to say to you tonight is we will not have to live like this forever. Accountability is coming at the voting booth and in court. We will reclaim our communities from Donald Trump. We will reestablish a sense of safety for our neighbors, and we will bring an end to this moment of chaos, confusion, and trauma. We will find a way to move forward, and we'll do it together, and we'll not be alone. Every day, we are working with business leaders, faith leaders, legal experts, and elected officials from across this country. They've all seen what Donald Trump is trying to do to our state, and they know their states could be next. And that
What the American people ought to be able to see is exactly what Tim Walz did to his state. He's crippled it. He allowed riots that occur in his state. He's allowed businesses to burn. He never once deployed law enforcement until several weeks after these businesses were burning. I mean, go back on the history on this piece of shit, folks. It all speaks for itself. This man is nothing but a thug, a criminal, and he needs to be tried for his crimes and locked away. Period. And same thing with this Omar piece of shit. And we'll get to her next. Um,
and that brings me to the fourth thing I want to say tonight, Minnesota. How incredibly proud I am of the way that you've risen to meet this unbearable
oh
moment.
shit! Excuse
And
me.
I'm not at all surprised, because this is who we are. Minnesotans believe in the rule of law, and Minnesotans believe in the dignity of all
The
people.
rule of law.
We're a place where there's room for everybody, no matter who you are or who you love or where you came from.
So let's discuss there's room for everybody. He's got the worst of the worst of the rapists, murderers, child molesters sitting out there in Minnesota. These guys are out protesting, trying to protect these thugs. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they ought to be dealing with those thugs, cutting their nuts off for molesting children and everything in the book. You know what? Let's get it on a roll here, guys. You know what? Let's call it what it is. These guys are communist traitors to this country, and these protesters are right alongside of Tim Walz. As far as I'm concerned, they need to start making mass arrests on these people and making examples of them because they're interfering with federal operations. It's, they're sitting there putting our ICE agents in harm's way every day, and nothing's being done besides what, maybe a handful of them being arrested daily. You know what? I say lock them all up. You know, lock them up and throw away the fucking key.
A place where we feed our kids, we take care of our neighbors, and we look out for those in the shadows of life. We're an island of decency in a country being driven towards cruelty. We will remain an island of decency, of justice, of community, of peace. And tonight I come before you simply to ask, don't let anyone take that away from us. Thank you, protect each other, and may God bless the people of Minnesota.
And may you rot in hell, you piece of shit. Anyways, so enough of that one. This guy's a real piece of shit. He likes to play the victim game. And the reason why he's pulling the shit that he's pulling right now, folks, because he feels the heat coming down on him. He knows there's a lot of people being charged right now for the fraud out there in Minnesota. He's on the books for the fraud as well. It's coming, Mr. Waltz. And you know what? For your little Omar girlfriend, I hope it comes down on her 10 times fold as well. So let's get over to what good old Omar has to say about this today. Hey, let me see if I can rewind this for you guys there. Yep. Well, isn't that sweet? Oh, here we go.
Ensuring no federal agent can act. We will not stop fighting until we achieve real justice and accountability. That must begin with impeaching Kristi Noem and ensuring no federal agent can act as a judge, jury, and executioner on our streets. It must also include full and transparent investigation and legal action against ICE. While we grieve, our community, as always, has shown up for one another with love.
And you know what, guys? I might sound like a racist, but whatever. You know what? This fucking raghead right here has a lot of room to speak. You know what? She marries her brother, comes into this country illegally. You can't legally just marry a blood relative and go, oh, now I'm a citizen. Well, that's exactly what she did. How the fuck she ever got into Congress? I put that on our American government and everybody else for allowing that piece of shit in the office. And here she's now sitting there going after like Kristi Noem and other people as well, and she's wanting blood. You know what? Let's call her what she is, a fucking raghead. Uh, these people are taught one thing and one thing only: to gain our trust, to lie to us, to deceive us, and then to kill us. Look it up, folks. That's what their Quran teaches them. That's not being racist. That's calling black, black, white, white. It's exactly what this woman's all about.
ICE officers have been struck by solidarity and care Minnesotans have shown for their neighbors. In the face of state-sanctioned violence, we have organized and protected each other. We will not stop.
Oh, yeah, so they have organized and to protect each other. What? Organize what? Their rights? All the bullshit they're crap they're pulling on our ICE agents, our for people out doing their job. Again, these thugs are protecting child molesters, rapists, killers. The same people that are trafficking all the fentanyl in, killing off tens of thousands of Americans. And the American people want to feel sorry for some woman that sat there and got gunned down when she rams our ICE agent. Well, let's call it what it is, folks. How about Charlie Kirk? Huh? How about him and his beautiful family? A good Christian man, gets assassinated by these Democrats for what? For speaking about God, for voicing his opinion, you know? And you know what these people do at these riots? They sit there and put little blood marks on their neck and in their head and shit. you know, impersonating Charlie Kirk dying, and acting like it's just all great that he's dead. This is what we're dealing with here in America, folks. And if I sound like I'm fired up tonight, you're fucking right. I'm fired up. I'm sick of it. And you know what? I'm more sick and tired of not seeing anything done about it. And I don't know. I could ramble on all night long with this shit. I'm fuming about it, guys. Okay. So here, I want to share with you guys real quick about this gentleman out here in Arizona. Um, Arizona stands with ICE and the rule of law. Legislators joined Pinal County Attorney Brad Miller for press conference on public safety, accountability, and reinforcement on federal immigration law. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys real quick, so you can kind of see the story. I believe that's the one I'm reading. Hopefully. Nope, that's Omar. Crap. Okay. Here we go. Anyways, this is the report that I'm reading from, guys. So, and this came from the State 48 News. This is where all these people are supporting ICE. And Arizona stands with the rule of law. We stand with President Trump, and we proudly stand with ICE. State Representative Alex Culloden, R3, and candidate for Secretary of State. Um, State Rep Alex Culloden, R3, a Republican candidate for Arizona Secretary of State, delivered a pro-ICE, pro-Trump speech Monday at a Stand With ICE event at the Arizona Capitol, and an event that was met by loud counter-protesters and was ultimately moved inside the Capitol complex so media could hear the speakers. So as usual, your protesters show up and try to create a lot of hell. Pinal County Attorney Brad Miller hosted the press conference alongside members of the Arizona legislature. Miller said the purpose was to address public safety, accountability, and enforcement of federal immigration law. So, to Cartel Hobbs, our governor, you know what? You ought to understand the rules of the land. We don't just allow everybody to flow through our borders like you think you can do. Organizers moved the event indoors as protesters continued outdoors. Miller announced he has drafted legislation sponsored by Representative Gillette, that's John Gillette, um, that would elevate interference with officers during a lawful arrest to a felony offense. So here's the thing, guys. Every time we keep seeing all these protests going on, a lot of times we're seeing these guys, our ICE agents, arresting the worst of the worst. And these protesters get right in the way of it. And again, that's putting our ICE agents in harm's way. It's putting our Border Patrol guys in harm's way. But this is what these guys are doing constantly. They're intervening on every one of their arrests. And, again, this is going to cost more lives before it's all said and done. I guarantee you. All right, back to the story. Culloden, a declared candidate for Secretary of State running against Democrat Adrian Fontes, framed immigration enforcement as a rule of law, reset and used the event to elevate Trump border advisor Tom Homan while blasting Arizona Democrats. He set the tone immediately. Good morning, Arizona. We are here today, 1 year into the restoration of America, to say loud and clear, we stand with ICE. Well, these are the kind of people we do need in office. Hopefully not just all words, but they're going to have action. He immediately tied that message to national politics, adding President Donald Trump is back in the White House. And finally, after 4 years of chaos, the rule of law has returned to the United States of America. Well, I kind of disagree. It's still complete chaos, just in a different manner. Now it's all the protesters we're dealing with. Um, Cullen then praised immigration and customs enforcement agents directly, saying, "We are here to thank the brave men and women of immigration and customs enforcement," and, and arguing they have had been demonized and prevented from doing their jobs in prior years. Well, that's 100% true. You guys see me down on the borders reporting, and our Border Patrol agents constantly kept saying, when we question them, why are you allowing this kind of a foreign invasion? And their answer was, we're just following orders. And as I've covered in the past, that's still treason. That is what I call an unlawful order coming down from the Biden administration and whoever at that time was in charge of Border Patrol. They all kept talking about Mark Kelly, telling our military to stand down from unlawful orders, which Trump has never given one unlawful order. But yet they keep forgetting that, here you got a president and a corrupt government sitting there telling our ICE agents to stand down, let these guys line up like they're going to Disneyland, put them on a shuttle bus, take them over to the transport station, transport them, process them, and ship them out to a city near you all over America. That's how you got 30 million Americans in our country. 30 million illegals in our country, folks. That's exactly how. And these Border Patrol agents at that time, were telling you, oh, we're just following orders. Well, bullshit. Those were unlawful orders, and you should have, if nothing else, resigned right there on the spot. And again, I hope the Trump administration will take into consideration for all the good Border Patrol agents that did resign, that refused to follow those kind of orders, which were unlawful orders. Um, and I hope he reinstates them with full pay. And any of the ones that are left that were just following orders, I hope he terminates them. That's what I'd like to see Tom Homan and the Trump administration come into agreement to. Because that means if they're just following orders, they're corrupt. I'm just going to say it like it is. And don't get me wrong, folks, I do love our Border Patrol agents. Got a lot of friends in Border Patrol. But at the same time, I'm going to call their asses out just like I call everybody else out. And, if you're corrupt, you're corrupt. It doesn't care, that we get along, that we can be buddies, have a drink together, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're corrupt, you're damn right I'm going to call your ass out on it. Anyways, we are here to thank the brave men and women of immigration and customs enforcement and arguing they have been demonized and prevented from doing their jobs in prior years, which we just covered. Um, he claimed a shift under Trump, stating, but today, thanks to President Trump, ICE is doing what they were meant to do, protecting our families. Amen to that. Well, why weren't they protecting our families under the Biden administration? Oh, that's right. We were just following orders. Keep forgetting. Um, Bullshit. I'll call it like it is. He also elaborated on Tom Homan's role in enforcement policy, telling the crowd, and no one fights harder than our border Caesar, Tom Homan, adding that Homan has delivered and has given ICE agents the backing they need to find, arrest, and remove the threats that have been hiding in our communities for too long. Well, let me educate you there, sir, just a little bit, not beating up on you, Cullen. But how about the No More Death Camp over in Arivaca, Arizona? Human trafficking, drug trafficking, it's funded by the Catholic charities out there in Yuma. Tucson, excuse me, probably Yuma as well. Um, you know, and they provide aid to the cartel. They feed them, they make sure they don't have any injuries. That way they can continue their journey with their backpacks loaded full of fucking fentanyl and the human trafficking that they're doing. Why did you guys raid that? Not even 4.5 weeks ago, Mr. Holman? Why did you guys raid that? and then let it be up and fully operational in a matter of a week because it's back operating at full strength again. And we're going to cover that here real soon for you guys and let you guys see exactly what we're talking about. So this No More Death Camp has been up and functioning for over 30 fucking years down there in the Tucson sector. And it has had tens of thousands of illegals flow through it. And a lot of your most hardened criminals, your cartel thugs, were flowing through there. And they believe that they deserve humanitarian aid. Let's make sure the cartel guys survive their journey as they're taking all this fucking fentanyl up to 3 points to get ready to traffic it all over America to kill tens of thousands of Americans. But oh yeah, let's worry about the cartel guys instead of the tens of thousands of Americans that these fuckers are killing off, right? Um, you know what? This is why I'm frustrated, guys. I don't feel like justice is being served here in America. I don't feel like, God bless our Border Patrol agents and our ICE agents for doing what they are doing, but they're not fucking doing enough. And I'm just going to call them out on it. And Tom Holman, you're not doing enough, buddy. When you guys are sitting there letting a human trafficking camp stay fully operational on American soil that's cartel ran, I call bullshit. Shut the fucker down and shut it down permanently, sir. That's what needs to be done. You'll save tens of thousands of American lives by shutting that freaking thing down. As far as I'm concerned, take in your bulldozers and bulldoze it to the ground. Eliminate it. Anyways, right back to my story here. Colden's remarks pivoted sharply from praise of federal enforcement to criticism of Arizona Democrats. Well, fuck the Arizona Democrats. That's what I say to those guys. Describing what he called in state obstruction. But here is the reality we face in Arizona, he said. While Washington is finally doing its job, we have politicians right here at home doing everything they can to stop it. Like Cartel Hobbs, our governor, um, and Adelina Grajava, who is in control of UMNL, and, as our so-called Congress lady. Um, he then named Democratic officials and made sharp remarks as part of his broader argument that state-level Democrats are undermining enforcement. Well, you think? Democrats like cartel lawyer Adrian Fontes, yep, and he said, along with Oscar de los Santos and Senator, Annalise Ortiz, um, who saw this year actually who we saw this year actually trying to tip off criminals and interfere with ICE operations. Well, you know what? If you're interfering with a federal operation like Cartel Hobbs does, like Adelita Grajava does, these thugs do, I don't care who the fuck they are. If you're interfering with a federal investigation, take their asses out, lock them up, and be done with them. You know what? Because this is why nothing is ever accomplished in this country, because it's a lot of lip service and no action. Why are we allowing this? You know, why are why is our sheriffs, the law of the land, allowing this bullshit? Take action, sheriffs. You guys got the legal authority to go arrest these thugs and lock them up. Do your job, too. Um, so let's see. Okay, let's see. I think I already read that part. He didn't name Democrat officials. Yep, I already read that. So Cullinan continued, uh, think about that. We have elected officials in Arizona actively trying to protect the cartels and criminals that ICE is trying to remove. Well, you know what? That's exactly what we've been doing. But here's the thing, too. Let's just call it out like it is. You know, we had every opportunity to elect an official, Daniel Gutierrez for Congress in the special election. We didn't even get 20% of our party get out for their fucking asses and go out and vote, you know. And Dan was on my broadcast this morning. You guys ought to tune into this morning's broadcast and listen to what we had to say in the broadcast, and you'll understand, you know. And again, we only had 20% of our party go out and vote in that special election here a couple months back, and the Democrats didn't hardly have much more. So if we would have even had 35% of our Republican Party got off of their asses out there in Yuma, Arizona, and parts of Phoenix, and Yuma, um, I mean, I keep saying Yuma, sorry guys, Tucson. That's Dan's region, and then Yuma's part of his voting region, and parts of Phoenix was as well. But the point is, if we would have even had 35% of the Republicans who would have gotten off of their asses and went out and voted, we would have had Daniel Gutierrez taking control of our fucking borders down here and putting a stop to this crap that's been happening. But now that we got Adelita Grajava in office, since her dad Grajava died, who was in charge for the last 30 years here in Arizona in Congress. As far as I'm concerned, the fucker should have been turned out, but either way. Um, the point is, this is the kind of shit that we keep tolerating, that we keep allowing to happen to Arizona, and people keep saying we need change in Arizona. Well, get off your fucking asses and make a change. Get out and vote. Make your voices heard. Make the vote so overwhelming, even if they try to cheat, they can't cheat. You know? Um, just get off your asses. That's all I can tell you guys. So Cullen also claimed that the immigration system was severely damaged during the Biden administration, stating America's immigration system was broken by 20 million by the 20 million illegals Joe Biden let in. Oh, bravo! This guy almost got the number of illegals right. It's 30 million. That's the ones that they caught in process. That's not including the gotaways, but at least he's closer than anybody else. Um, Anyways, 20 million illegals Joe Biden let in. He claimed the consequences had been felt at the local level, saying the system flooded our schools, strained our hospitals, raised our rents, and endangered our neighborhoods. And you know what? He's 100% spot on that. I mean, take a look. We covered the Tucson Comfort Inn and Suites out there in Tucson, Arizona, where we went in undercover acting like we were going to rent a room. And they said, we don't rent rooms no more. And there they had a lobby plumb full of fucking illegals that were renting rooms, where they're getting, what, $1,000 a night per illegal. So your Comfort Inn and Suites decided they were going to sell themselves out for the illegals, for the highest dollar that was willing to pay, and screw the American people. Same thing with the housing. When these illegals came through, they got vouchers, they got free housing, free medical, free everything. They got a credit card to travel anywhere in the country they wanted to go to. This should have made tens of thousands of Americans out here just in Arizona alone totally pissed off enough that got off their asses and went out and voted on Daniel Gutierrez, that have gotten him in office. But you know what? Obviously, Arizona hasn't had enough suffering yet. Hard to believe, right? So when you guys keep wondering why Arizona's not changing, and for you people around the country, because the Republican Party's too lazy to get off their fucking asses and get out and vote. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. They act like they want change, but they're not willing to go out and vote for the change. So, does that make sense? Probably not. Anyways, Cloden announced a key policy proposal. I am therefore calling for America to hit pause with a moratorium on new immigration. Where are my glasses, guys? Sorry. Hopefully I got them out here. And actually, I think I do. Sorry, you guys. I'm struggling reading this. There we go. Okay, on new immigration that will allow us to finish clearing the deportation backlog while we recalibrate and modernize our federal immigration laws to prioritize putting Arizonans and Americans first in the 21st century global geopolitical environment. He summarized that stance as We don't need a system that works for foreign nationals. Well, amen to that. We need a system that works for you. Well, you know what? A system that's going to work for me is deport every one of their asses out of this state, um, including the governor. Culloden closed with a direct appeal to Trump and Holman. Keep going. Don't don't let the media slow you down. Don't let the obstructionists in this building stop you. Before ending with his rallying line, Arizona stands with the rule of law. We stand with President Trump, and we proudly stand with ICE. Well, you know what? Amen to that. 100% stand with our president, and 100% stand with ICE. So, whether you guys love or hate our president, that's on you guys. But you know what? Only quitters back out. And, I'll call it what it is. Should be all about God, family, and country for each and every one of us. Um, these people keep acting like these guys are immigrants. Call them what they fucking are. They're illegals. These are illegals that came into America. Many of them had nothing but evil plans for this country. They had plans on hurting Americans, raping people, killing people, shooting our police officers around the country. Again, you guys go back on my Facebook. 2 months. Look at over 100 law enforcement officers around this country have been killed in the line of duty. That's 2 months. Um, Most of your fake news channels ain't going to broadcast that, but we're going to get it out there. That's what we've had. That's not including the Border Patrol guys that they don't talk about that die in the line of duty. Um, that's not to mention, the people that are being assaulted, like news media guys like me out there reporting the news, getting the real news out to you guys. Now we're all a target for the left. Well, let's just say, if they want to try to attack me, it might be kind of a bad mistake on their part. So, but guess we'll see what happens in due time. Anyways, if you guys got any questions or comments, feel free to call into my studio, 928-385-4738. Love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Um, and again, this is just a bunch of shit that we're dealing with every day. And here's the American people sitting there in la la land allowing it. Let's see. Okay. Just checking on different comments on these. I'm broadcasting on multiple outlets, guys. I'm trying to look into everybody's comments. Anyhow, like I said, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. To this day, it pisses the hell out of me. Here you got Charlie Kirk, a good Christian man. They assassinated him. Call it what it is. They flat out murdered him. And, this is on the Democrats, flat out. And, but yeah, here they got some crazy ass broad decides to ram one of our ICE agents with a vehicle and then manages to get herself shot dead. Um, what do you Democrats expect to happen out of something like that? Do you expect the guy to just stand there and do nothing and allow the vehicle to run him over? Is that what you Democrats think? Because if that's what you think, then why don't you stand in front of a vehicle first? And we'll see how that works out for you. But either way, so, like I said, it's just a bunch of shit what we keep witnessing. We have been witnessing this now for a year straight. We keep hearing there's going to be arrests. We keep seeing all the evidence of the corruption. Um, and oh, by the way, Hillary and old Bill Clinton's back in the news. And they totally ignored their subpoena to appear before Congress. But they're above the law. We know that. Whatever dirt they got on the Republicans is what keeps them out of jail. We know this. And quite frankly, whatever dirt they have on the Republicans, I wish I knew what it was, because we need to expose the corrupt Republicans as well and get this country back to law and order. And as far as I'm concerned, whoever's corrupt all needs to go to jail, including the Clintons. Um, but either way, all we keep seeing is people getting away with murder. Yeah. My famous last words, kind of funny how everybody the Clintons don't like ends up dead. I mean, think about it. That's the reality. So, anyways, you know, the Democrats have a big rally coming up. I think it's on the 20th or 21st. And I broadcasted it yesterday where we're telling all their Democrat riders to leave their work. I think it's at 2 p.m. And they just want them to walk out on their jobs and to get out and protest. So I think all of us patriots out there on that day need to come organize together in our cities, and we should counter protest these little bastards and fly your Trump flag with pride, and get out there and get right back at them like they're getting at us. And I think we all ought to go out and invest in whistles while we're at it, and just keep blowing off a whistle, saying "ice squealers, ice squealers." So that would be pretty ironic, I think. So, anyways, guys, I know I've been rambling on tonight. I'm just pretty hot under the collar about all the shit. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I do love our Border Patrol agents. They do great work. But the ones under the Biden administration, those guys, I do have a problem with them. Uh, and any of those guys that are still left working for Border Patrol, um, if I would have been Border Patrol, I would have fired them. Um, the ones that took unauthorized orders from the Biden administration, and these guys, they should have been dealt with and tried for treason. And that's my opinion on it, and I'm entitled to my opinion. So, the Constitution tells you what we're supposed to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, not assist with a foreign invasion. And that's exactly what those Border Patrol agents did back then. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. I'll be live again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 Pacific, unless we get some more breaking news tonight. Again, I expect the U.S. and Iran to be at full conflict within the next 24 hours. So stay tuned, and we'll see if it happens. But that's what I see. Um, and pray for this country, guys. And forgive my foul language tonight. I know when I'm pissed off and just I get on a rant, I know my mouth can fly. And but at the same time, I meant every last word I said about those commie bastards as well. So we need to get this country back to law and order. People need to be held accountable, and the American people deserve to see justice. And we deserve to see arrests made. We've heard this shit for over 4 fucking years, and it's time. It's time, Mr. President. If you're anybody out there listening, um, it's long overdue. So, all right, guys. God bless you. Enjoy your Wednesday evening, and just pray for this country. Pray for our ICE agents and Border Patrol out there on the front lines. Keep in mind when you're sleeping in peace at night, these guys are out still fighting for this country.